Everybody, this is Bobby Bookworm, aka Bobby G, back with my first book review in quite a while. This book review, really, what do I gotta say? I can still remember a lot of the details of this book. It is called In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. This is a little different than the cover that some of you might have been seeing with Yeonmi's picture on it. This is actually a first edition copy that I have of this book. It is worth reading. The tagline is A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom. It's about her parents, her and her sister Yeonmi Park, because you got Yeonmi Park and Yeonmi Park, who's her sister, who's her older sister. This is one of those books that's heavy. No doubt about it. And it really tells you what really goes on in North Korea. I'm talking like just the amount of how much the government is created as, or treated as, God, essentially. Starting with Kim Il-sung, and then going to Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-un. And just how that affects the daily lives of people. And if you have seen Yeonmi Park's videos, or you follow her Instagram, which, by the way, I'm going to put this video both on my YouTube and on my Instagram, where she has a presence as well on both. But I don't know if she'll ever see this. If she does, Yeonmi, jeez, God bless you. God bless you. Because being a child, first of all, she was born premature. Second of all, just her first 100 days out of the womb, just to be kept alive by her parents the way they did. She talks about things like the black market in North Korea, as far as goods that we take so much for granted in this country. So many things, even a bottle of water, even just this is taken for granted so much. I mean, lived in a northern city close to the border of China, which was the only place you could really see lights. Originally from the town of Haesan. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And how you could see the border, but you couldn't cross it because there were guards everywhere, and if you wanted to try and defect, you had to bribe the guards, you had to have a guide to get through that. But even before that, what goes on in North Korea before you even try to escape, which there's been less than 300 people who've been able to defect in 70 years, is crazy. Just the day-to-day stuff where her and her sister would be left alone foraging for food for days, months even. And it's a thing of what she describes in the book. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but just some of the things she talks about. You're born into a certain song border. You're basically born into a certain caste. You're not even necessarily born into a class. You're born into a caste. And the socialist system there is just foobar, because they try to make it think it's something really good when it isn't. Far from it. Again, if you have not read this book, you need to read this book. If you have not read this book, you need to read this book. I would also say you need to follow Yeonmi Park on Instagram. Follow her YouTube channel. It's crazy what's going on. And reading this book, reading her story, I don't think as a country we're that far away from it. As Americans, as much as we say we're not like that, or it'll never happen here, I don't know, because there's a lot going on. There's some awful big similarities I find in this book between the North Korean regime and the current state of excuse me, of corporate cronyism, and we don't even have capitalism anymore in this country. Let's be honest, we have corporate cronyism, and it's the same thing in North Korea to some degree. If you read this book, I mean, just the amount of stuff that she had to go through. I mean, being sold into sex trafficking at the age of 13 years old, along with both her mother and her sister, after they escaped into China, which should tell you about the problems that are going on in China right now, by the way. Just how she survived is a legit miracle to tell her story. How she survived in North Korea, how she survived under the Kims, how she survived in being trafficked and eventually defecting and eventually making it not only to South Korea but also making it here to the States. I mean, and becoming a citizen recently. Because in North Korea, where she's from, if you read the book, she tells you that if you commit any kind of crime at all, either against the regime or perceived to be looked at or badmouthed by the regime, if you get badmouthed by the regime, you don't even necessarily have to be considered an actual criminal or actually found guilty of anything. They can just find you out of favor, if you will, with the regime on any level, and you will not only be cursed for the rest of your life, but three generations of your family will be cursed. So you, your kids, and your grandkids. And not just that, but your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. I mean, it's insane what goes on there. It's hard for me to talk about it because it's just, I can literally picture in my mind stuff from this book. What her dad went through, what her mom went through, her dad being through a re-education camp, and what it did to him. And the fact that she didn't even know what love was, didn't know what it was to think, didn't know what the outside world was actually like. It's a tough read, but it's something that's got to be read. Like this, if you want to know what totalitarianism looks like to its full extent, if you want to know what socialism and communism looks like to its full extent, you need to read this book. And you need to read it because you can find out on a personal level what it does to people, on the average person. Not even necessarily in government systems only, but just the average day person. This is going to be my first of quite a few book reviews I got coming up down the pipe. But I'm starting with this one because, folks, wake up. You got to wake up. And to me, in order to be red-pilled, you got to read books like this. In order to have your eyes open, you got to read books like this. In order to see the reality of life, you got to read books like this. I'm just throwing it out there. This is my first of a few book reviews. Hopefully there will be a few more. Bobby Bookworm here as always. Y'all be easy out there. Y'all take care this new year, hey? Remember, as I've said in past book reviews, take time to think, take time to break down, take time to reach your own conclusions, and think things through. Because that's what book reviews are about, is pushing people to think. Y'all take it easy out there. Peace.